Hey everybody, welcome to this 2021 Audi Q5 Premium 45 TFSI, which essentially is the base model, base engine configuration with the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder making 261 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque. What's unique about this powertrain too is it's paired to a mild hybrid system with a 12-volt battery. But before we get out on the road and check this thing out, let's take a quick walk around. So the Audi Q5 we have here today is brought to us by First International Auto Group out of Merrimack, New Hampshire. This one has 96,000 miles on it, so we're going to get to see how this mid-size SUV from Audi handles the test of time and 100K miles. So styling is of course classic Audi. We have these LED daytime running lights in the front, large chrome grille, and these cutouts you'd think are for fog lights, but they're actually cameras and parking sensors up here in the front. So you have lots of safety tech in this 2021 Audi Q5. So there's not much to note about the side profile of these Q5s. They're pretty slopey, feel a lot more compact from the outside than they are on the inside. They're quite spacious on the inside. But we do have this aluminum that kind of surrounds the windows, and of course they're on the bottom as well. As for wheels, we have these 5-spoke 18-inch alloy rims. They're fairly good looking. They definitely fit the car in terms of kind of providing less of an aggressive sporty look, more of like a classic luxurious design. One thing I really like about the rear of these Q5s, besides these gorgeous LED taillights, is the aluminum that they have that just kind of coats the bottom of those taillights, kind of separating the design in terms of the rear end look. And then of course we have a button to automatically open our trunk. Lots of trunk space in here. You can fold those seats down, really get access to the rest of the cabin. One critique I do have though is this is a little too low for me. I'm 5'9", and I almost hit my head on this multiple times already. If I stand straight up all around it, I hit my head about here. So I'm not the tallest guy, but if you're any taller than me, you're gonna bump your head on that thing all the time. So that's just one thing to note when buying an Audi Q5. All right, so under the hood is this 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. As you can see, we have plenty of room in this engine bay if they were to throw the 6-cylinder in here like the 55 TFSI. Sitting behind myself in this back seat, I have ample amounts of room. I'm actually genuinely impressed. We have about 3 inches of headroom, about 4 inches of legroom. I'm 5'9", so I'm sitting behind myself. I'm not the tallest guy, but the fact that you can fit 4 adults in here comfortably, maybe even a 5th, but this is kind of gonna get in the way. So I would say 4 adults and a kid, 5 people total. And that's kind of the advantage of having one of these larger SUVs that don't have the 3rd row, because you save in terms of the 2nd row seats. Back here we do have 2 speakers on the door cards. We have a 3rd row climate control, which we can adjust ourselves back here. We also have 2 USB ports and a 12-volt, some vents here, cargo nets. Needless to say, the feeling of luxury continues on into these back seats for this Audi Q5. The one thing I am missing in here though is a panoramic sunroof. I think that would just kind of be chef's kiss, complete this thing. But you get one in the Premium Plus if you decide to go up a trim. Of course, the Premium is the bottom trim in terms of the Audi Q5 lineup. So plenty of tech in here. We have a digital part of our dashboard, still analog gauges, which I like. We have this 10-inch infotainment screen with wireless Apple CarPlay, which is very nice to have. I always appreciate that over the wired CarPlay, just because it's so much easier to just kind of get in your car, especially when you have keyless entry and push button start in this thing, especially when you have keyless entry and push button start like you do in this thing. I did just get a warning that our key fob battery is low, so kind of funny I'm saying that, you know, in terms of a plus for having the keyless entry and push button start. The negative is that you have a key fob battery that you gotta maintain. In terms of pricing for this Audi Q5, the First International Auto Group price is just about $20,000 US. And of course, like I said, this thing has 96,000 miles on it. Does have some imperfections on the exterior, but I mean, needless to say, this is still a ton of car for $20,000, especially when the starting MSRP for this Audi Q5 Premium 45 TFSI with, the all-wheel drive and the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with the mild hybrid system, it starts you at about $45,000 US, and that was in 2021. These things have just continuously got more expensive over the last 5 years. So you might ask, what transmission do we have in an Audi Q5? Is it a Tiptronic? No, it's not a Tiptronic, it's not a PDK, it's what they call an S-Tronic, which is a 7-speed dual clutch. So I'm actually pretty excited to see how this thing performs. It's quoted for a 0 to 60 time of 5.7 seconds, so that's quite fast for a mid-size SUV, especially with the base engine. So right now we have it in individual for drive modes, which we were able to put it in sport for both our engine configuration and our steering. The reason why I automatically did that, especially for steering, is because in balanced and comfort, the steering is just obnoxiously light. So this thing really revs out. It gets all of the gear, about 6,500 RPMs right there. And unfortunately, this truck just pulled out in front of us, and I don't have enough time to pass him, so we'll just kind of have to stick it out. So for drive modes, you do have the ability to customize the balanced versus sport for your drive, and then steering is comfort, balanced, and sport. I recommend sport for both. Unless you're in traffic, I would switch the drive to balanced in that case, just so the thing isn't holding on to first gear a little too long, kind of creating a more rough driving characteristic, especially for a dual clutch. And so if I back out and I go back into drive modes, we do have off-road, comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. Like I said before, I'm an individual. I don't really see the point in having all those drive modes. I think that's just like a little overboard, but that's just Audi for you. You're gonna have tons of customization in this thing. But at highway speeds, this thing is very comfortable. It, kind of absorbs all the imperfections in the road with ease. You don't feel any sort of like this little crack that they kind of have going along Route 3 here. You don't feel any of that. You don't feel the small road imperfections. And we will test this thing out on the worst road in Merrimack, New Hampshire coming up, so stay tuned for that, for some more of like the harsh bump testing. As far as sound editing, this thing is just dead quiet. You could take phone calls in this car really easily. They might not even know that you're driving, quite honestly, unless they hear maybe like your blinker, maybe you're beeping at someone that's kind of slowing you down. Steering is definitely better in sport mode. You get a little bit more feel, but with that electronic steering, it just still feels a little bit delayed. I'm actually really disappointed in Audi because when I drove that 2018 Audi Q5, I remember just how much praise I had for the steering in that car. And so this one is a little bit of a letdown. You don't get much exhaust note feedback. So, if you are looking for more of a sporty SUV, definitely get an SQ5, maybe save up the money for one of those. I have yet to drive one, but I've always heard good things, especially, in terms of the comparison to, say, like the Porsche Macan S, which, you're kind of very similar formula there. I will say this interior is also very luxurious. The only cheap looking materials in this entire car is the top of this dashboard with this like pebbled plastic look. I hate when manufacturers do this because I just think it looks so cheap. My Elantra had this like gradient, which I really liked. I think they could just kind of go with a different pattern and make this car look a lot more expensive. But they did do a nice job with this wood trim. I think it fits the car very well, especially with the white exterior color, the black interior color with these nice gorgeous leather seats with electronic adjustments and of course heated functions in both as well. So on our steering wheel, we do have paddle shifters, which feel very high quality. You have the ability to shift this 7-speed dual clutch. You can shift it into the manual mode like that way, or you could just kind of press the paddle shifters to change your gear automatically. Give this thing a good downshift. It's very responsive in the downshifts, which I appreciate. The sound isn't all that good though. Yeah, not really the sound I'm looking for from this 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. They do a good job at keeping it refined, keeping it quiet and kind of out of your way, almost making it so you don't even think twice about the engine and what's going on up there. You're just kind of like, oh, I have plenty of passing power with the 261 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque, but I'm not hearing like a whiny 4-cylinder, which would actually kind of turn you off from buying this Q5. So I think this thing is impressively quick for the size SUV it is, especially this thing being a 4-cylinder and with all-wheel drive having that added weight. This thing is just very impressive. All right, so we're approaching the worst road in Merrimack, New Hampshire. Just for kind of more of like a sanity check, let's throw it into comfort. So we're making sure that we're getting the best, characteristics for driving on this bumpy road, even though, there's no adaptive suspension in here, so it shouldn't be a problem either way. As I imagined, it handles the harsh bumps with ease too. I would say that the Q7 is going to be a little bit better at it with the extended wheelbase, but this Q5 does a really nice job. This car would definitely be a very nice commuter for someone who has to drive to Boston every day. I mean, it has a good size where it's not too hard to park, not too difficult to maneuver around a small parking garage. This Q5 is definitely the perfect size in terms of, owning an SUV and having that practicality while also getting you, a very maneuverable vehicle. Kind of reminds me a lot of my Mach-E in that way. So as I mentioned at the start of this video, with the 96,000 miles on it, you kind of wonder, how does this Audi handle through, that many miles and through, almost 5 years of just tons and tons of driving? The powertrain is still very smooth, steering is pretty good, and I mean, this seats and this interior doesn't look to have a mark on it. I just can't believe, there's no tears in the leather. There's no scratches on our screen or anywhere around this infotainment and these buttons. Everything is held up very well as far as interior-wise. There are a couple scratches on the exterior, but that's, number one, part of normal wear and tear. Number two, it's, just kind of like people's mistake if they're parking too close to somebody and someone swings their door into you, or just, maybe a rock flies and hit your car. I mean, cars just take a lot of use and abuse over the years of ownership. And although I can't speak on maintenance costs because I don't own this Audi Q5, they're going to be a bit more expensive to maintain than, say, your traditional Honda and Toyota, of course, because it's a luxury brand. But I wouldn't expect it to be any more expensive than, say, like Volkswagen, where you're kind of getting an economy car, but you're getting luxury car maintenance costs. With that being said, this Audi Q5 with an original MSRP of just about $45,000 and a first International Auto Group price of $20,000, I feel like it's a good deal either way. If you buy one of these brand new and have the base engine, base model, you still get lots of stuff such as keyless entry, remote start. You of course have, this 7-speed dual clutch paired to a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with the mild hybrid system. I am kind of wary on how that mild hybrid system will, kind of stand the test of time, but this one, after 100K miles, is proven to be pretty reliable. I mean, I don't know if they've replaced that 12 volts or not yet, but I mean, this thing drives really nice. It's a high quality vehicle for good money. So these nice leather seats with the heated functions and plenty of electronic adjustments, the wireless Apple CarPlay and 10-inch fancy infotainment screen, this thing is a really good buy. So if you're looking for a nice, luxurious daily driver, the 2021 Audi Q5 should definitely be in your considerations. With that being said, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.